Hello, welcome to Exploring Foods with Smitty. Well, guess what? We are going to make breakfast. I'm making homemade biscuits, eggs, and ham. But as you can see, let me here, and it's heating. And air fryer right here, and it's sitting and waiting. So what are we going to do? Are we going to make biscuits in the oven, or are we going to use the air fryer? Stay tuned to find out. Okay, so let's go. So what I have already measured out is my 2 cups of flour, my 2.5 teaspoons of baking powder. And I'm going to move this over too much so you can't see. And I have my 1/4 teaspoon of sugar and my 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I have my 6 tablespoons of butter, and I have my 3/4 cup of milk. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add in our dry ingredients, which is our 2 cups of flour. Put in my salt and sugar and my baking powder. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just kind of mix this around like so. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is go ahead and add in my 6 tablespoons of butter. And I cut it like this because your butter has measuring things on it. So what I'm going to do to break my butter up, you kind of do this when you're doing crust. And I have a pie cutter, but I'm using my fork. So, how is everyone doing today? Get my pastry cutter. It's just going to be easier for me if I can find it. Let's see, pastry cutter we are. And where is my pastry cutter? Okay, I'm good to go. There we go. Okay, so like if you don't have one of these, check into getting one, because I tell you they're wonderful. And you just want to do this to make sure your butter is nice and cut up like so. What this does is it crumbles your butter into your flour and get a good mixture. So I think that probably might be about good enough. And as I said, you do the same thing when you're making pie crust, which you're going to have to do a pie crust. Someone asked me to do a pie crust, so we're going to have to do that. Okay, so I have all that in there. Okay, so to this, let me make sure you're still in frame. I'm going to have to add something there so I can make sure you're there. Put this right here. Okay. So to this, I'm going to add my buttermilk. I'm just going to pour it in like so. Let's put this in here. I don't want it to get stuck. There. Okay, so I'm just going to mix this around like so. One thing about biscuits, you don't want to over mix them. Same thing with pie crust. Okay, so we're getting this all mixed in like so, until it like comes together like a ball kind of. There we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this dough out on my table. And I'm just going to fold it onto itself for about maybe 8 to 10 minutes, 10 times. So I'm going to put some flour. Just spread this out. And then I'm going to add my dough, like so. And I'm just going to fold it onto itself like so. And you have to put flour down because you don't want your biscuits to stick to whatever you're folding it on. I do have a dough folder, but I didn't feel like looking for it. So here we are. I'm going to add more flour and just make sure this all comes together like so. You don't really want to knead it, you just kind of want to fold it over on itself. I'm excited about these biscuits. There. I think that's good enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mash this out like so. They say you get 8 biscuits out of this. We'll see. Mash this out like so. And then I'm going to use my biscuit cutter. Just trying to make sure you can still see. I'm going to use my biscuit cutter to cut these out. Okay, and then I'm going to take my pan that I'm going to cook it in, and I'm going to spray it with some oil or butter. This is like the coolest thing that I could have bought. Okay, so what I'm going to do is these biscuits that I've cut out, I'm going to go ahead and place them in. This reminds me of the good old days when my grandma used to make biscuits. Here. Put one there. Okay. And then what you do is you just keep folding your dough like so, so that you can keep making biscuits out of what's left. Okay, so let's go ahead and cut another one. Like so. I love homemade biscuits. And I love homemade buttermilk biscuits. They're the best. Okay, so this one I think I'm just going to put in the middle. Let's hope it comes out. Okay, so. Okay, so there's our biscuits ready to be cooked. So when I come back, we're going to be cooking them. What are we cooking them in? The air fryer or the oven. See you in a bit. Okay, so let's get started. I hope you can see what I'm seeing because my phone screen has like they call it privacy screen protector on it, and so people can't, if you're texting or something like that, people can't see what you're writing. But this is our biscuits, and we are not making them in the oven. We're putting them in the air fryer. I have been wanting to try this because they said it bakes. So I'm letting that in, and I'm going to cook it at 390. It says for 5 to 6 minutes. So we'll see. So I'm going to let this down, and I'm going to put the time on 6 minutes, and then I'm going to check it. So, I'll be back. Okay, so the air fryer is going to be, let's turn it off. So let's check them to see if they're ready, because they did say to check for doneness. Wow. I'm kind of impressed. Wow. They look delicious. Okay, so let's put some butter on them. Always got to butter the top of your biscuits. Let's get this out. They look really good. I'm just like surprised. But I had heard that you can bake in the air fryer, but I had never tried it. So we're going to see what they taste like. Okay, so I'm melting some butter right now, and we're going to top our biscuits. And I tell you, it's such an easy recipe, and what I'll do is give you the recipe at the end of the video. let's see. There we go. Okay, so I have my melted butter here, and I'm just going to take this and spread some over my biscuits. And I'm not going to taste them until you're on camera with me, because I want to see if they come out just like they need to be. There we go. Okay. Alrighty. So I'm going to go ahead and finish cooking. I'm going to cook my eggs and my scrapple. I was going to do ham, but I decided to do scrapple. I'm so impressed. So when I come back, we'll be setting down to these biscuits to see just exactly how they taste. Okay, as you can see, I've scrambled my eggs with spinach, and I've gotten the biscuits out of the cooker. So what I'm waiting for is my scrapple to get done. And if you're not a Pennsylvania, East Coast kind of person, you probably won't know what scrapple is. So I'm waiting for it to get a little crispier. And I think it's there. I'm going to move my biscuit over. I'm going to put my scrapple. Really, it's supposed to be a slice, but I sliced it so thin until it refused to work for me. Okay, so let's put that over there. Let's get that in there. Let's move that here. Now, this is the big test, because I'm just wondering how different it's going to taste from oven biscuits versus the air fryer. Now, they seem to have cooked up pretty well. There's kind of at the bottom from the butter, I believe it is. Open it up. But it's done. It's a total different taste from the oven. Actually, it's a fluffier biscuit, which is kind of weird. Let's put a little jelly on here. And you definitely can taste the butter in it. Definitely. Okay, let's have some here. I like these. They're very soft and fluffy. Actually, they're fluffier than if I would have cooked it in the oven. Very good. So if you get a chance to make biscuits in the air fryer, please go ahead and try it. Thank you for joining Exploring Foods with Smitty, and I'll put the recipe at the end of the video. Have a good one.